Hey everyone, can you hear me? I'm checking a few things because the sound is super weird on my side. I'm just checking how things are working on your end and if you can hear me. Okay, sorry, it was a bit weird. I couldn't see myself pretty much in the monitor, so that was a bit weird. And my sound on my end is also quite weird, so I'm just checking if you guys can hear me well. If that's the case, I will probably just take out the headset for today because my headset seems to be super weird today. Okay, Husarz, I never know how to pronounce your name, sorry about that. Welcome Kim. I see that you guys can hear me well, so that's all good. I will actually just take out the headset for today because pretty much right now the way it sounds on my side was kind of a 8-bit version of the music of the game and such, so that's not really making much sense, except if you want to hear Super NES or a Mega Drive or Super Famicom version, like a chiptune version of the way the game sounds. Otherwise, really, I don't advise you to listen to that. So yeah, anyway, welcome to the stream. We will be starting pretty much right away. We will start with the easy/regular fight today. That's why you can see that the easy and medium account is already there and running. The event is ready to go, and this time I was able to share with you guys quite earlier, like around 2 hours ago, the list of players that we will get today and pretty much in which order you would be participating, as well as the list for the advanced/hardcore part of the fight night as well. So yeah, just like the few last times, if we have a bit more extra time, if it goes super fast, because last time was very fast, we might be squeezing in a few more players, but I doubt we will, because the one time we did that, we had some complaints that people pretty much saw the list, didn't see their name, so they didn't put the good army on, etc., which makes sense. So most likely we'll stick to the 90, almost 100 players that we have planned for today. So without further ado, we'll just start with the easy fight. And yeah, let's just go with this. I'm just checking that we are on the good list. Yes, everything looks as it should. So we have 48 players in the easy mode today. One thing I would like to point out is that today, compared to the few last times, we had quite a few of you that registered for both the hardcore and the easy regular challenge. I also spotted the few ones that thought they could trick me by registering all of their alternative accounts, but also registered them for the contest for alternate accounts, and that's a no-go. So just know that I took you in for the fight night, of course, but if you put your alternate account for the fight night, then they're not going to be considered for the draw for the contest, obviously. And for those that registered both in the easy and the hardcore mode, what I do as a rule is that I put you for the hardcore mode. The simple reason for that is that most of the time, the people that register for both, they're really ready for the hardcore fight. So that's usually what I do. It's also impossible for me to check on an individual level where you would fit more, etc., because that's quite a few people. I mean, today, exceptionally, we even had people that registered like 3 or 4 times the same account. I don't know what happened to you. If for any reasons there was something wrong or weird this time around with the spreadsheet, well, in your case, it's not a spreadsheet. It's a Google form. It only looks as a spreadsheet for me when I see the results. But if you had any issues with the actual Google form, just let me know in this case so that I know that this is why there were a lot more people registering several times. But in general, just know that I spot that. If you register as well several times for the same difficulty, anyway, when I put you in the tool that we use for the Fight Night, it will only put a user tag once. So no matter how many times you register it, you would only see it once. So there's no real benefit in trying to go for that. And yeah, if you put yourself in the two different categories, I always do a check before that to make sure that you're taken out. I mean, if you're lucky and one day it slips through, good for you, but in general, it's not going to be worth it, and it's just kind of taking a bit of time away from everyone involved, pretty much. For me, because it's a little bit of extra work, but also, to me, the real impact is that you're taking up spots for people that could have made it to the stream directly rather than to the recorded Fight Night. So let's not try to go this road. Let's just register ourselves once, and that's it. In case it ever happens to you that you make a mistake, like, hey, I didn't pay attention, I registered myself for the hardcore event and I then re-registered myself for the easy Fight Night, that's not a problem. Just drop me a line on Discord or anywhere else letting me know in which difficulty you want it to be, and I will always make sure to move you to the good category. In such a case, when I'm aware, that's not a problem. But if I don't know, and if we are just an hour away from the stream, I pretty much need to make the call, and that's why I usually put everyone that is in this situation to the hardcore mode. Maybe it's to teach you a lesson to be more careful next time. But no, really, it's just more convenient ultimately to do it this way. So that was the small disclaimer or small information I wanted to share with you. Outside of that, I don't know how you guys are doing. I can say that I am doing a lot better than the last time we spoke, because last time we spoke, my back was crazily hurting. I'm pretty much done with the back pain at this point. It's almost entirely gone. Yeah, it's a process that takes a few weeks, so it's still gonna be taking some time before I'm 100% back to being completely healthy. But at least my back is not hurting me anymore, so you shouldn't see me moving around as much as I was last time. I rewatched a part of the stream after that, and I could see myself moving all over the place. I was like, yeah, I can see, knowing myself, I can see that I was really uncomfortable. So I hope it was not too distracting on your hand or too weird to follow up on. Okay, then basically, as always, guys, I'm up to discuss any topics that you may have. On my side, I will also give you some updates on a few elements that I can update to you. One of them, because I know that there were some questions about that, is that we will be sharing with you some global direction of what we want to do with the game in 2024. So what are the main stuffs you can expect from us, and what we want to work on. Most of those things, for those of you that are watching the streams regularly, you mostly know what are the big features that we're working on. Like reworking the artifacts, having a global red boss, having the clan wars. There are a few things like this that you already know that we're working on. The main thing will be that there's also a lot of smaller stuffs that we mentioned, like, hey, we want to have more ad placement and bring the one with the gold that is that was broken and we had to take out really quickly. We mentioned that we want to work on a merchant system. There's a few different things we mentioned. So this communication we will issue, hopefully by the end of the year, should help you get a clearer understanding of what is really in the pipeline for now, because there's a lot of stuff we want to do. Some of them we can already say 2024, it's the aim. For some of them, it will depend. If we have some more bandwidth, they might come faster. But if you don't see something on the list we will share, it doesn't mean it won't come next year. It would mean it's not the priority for next year. That's what it means. The other thing that we want to bring up will be, in this communication, will be sharing with you a bit more and be a bit more transparent about the technical challenges that we are overcoming with the game. One thing we spotted when there were those big login issues at the beginning of November is that we didn't communicate probably enough on how much is happening on the background, on the technical side, simply for the game to keep running. And just to be clear on that topic, it's not to put the blame on Traplight or anything like this. It's simply that there are a lot of elements in the background. For anyone that knows what we're talking about, you know, the libraries and the tools that you're using in the code of your game, etc. A lot of this technology is getting updated regularly. And the thing is, when Traplight created their game, they created it with the top of the line of that time kind of technology, which makes sense. And then they didn't need to do any updates for the few years that the game was not in beta anymore, simply because there was no update requested. Pretty much what it means is the version they had was not always the last one, or even the second to last one for those updates, for those libraries, etc. But they could still work. You know, there was retro compatibility, so that was not a problem. Now we are entering the point where we have to update all of those elements because we would not be compatible anymore with those modules, those libraries, etc. So that is something we want to be a bit more transparent with you guys about, so that you have an understanding of all the stuff that are done outside of balancing, making units, and making cosmetics, and the work on new features. Because at the moment, I can say that over the past 3-4 months, it took us a lot of time, a lot of resources, and it was mandatory because otherwise in January the game would not be running anymore until it's fully done. It's also, you know, things like Apple and Google both changed their requirement for some elements in the app, so all of that has to be factored in, and it is taking us quite some resources. So we need to be more transparent about that, so that you guys have an understanding of what is going on and why things don't necessarily always go as fast as we would like. Now, to answer the question from, I believe it's Darskan that asked, the next feature that should come, the next big thing you should see, well, there's two things you should see rather soon-ish now. Hopefully by the end of the year, it's bringing back the gold ad, so the one that was there just for a few days before it was taken out. We are still working on what caused it. We know what caused it, and we're just basically checking if it can work fully 100% of the time before we release it back. At the moment, the latest tests we've done with the fixes we've applied, it's stable, it's working, it's not exploitable, but there are some edge cases, very specific scenario where it's not working as intended. So at the moment, we are trying to see if we can fix those few edge cases before we bring it back so that it works exactly as intended. I mean, of course, we can never guarantee that there will never be any issue with it, but at least bring it back when we know it's to the best of what we can do. So that should be coming back either by the end of the year or very early next year. And we are also quite advanced at this point with the new global red boss that I was referring to a few times already. This global red boss, I know, for example, what the boss, the first one at least, will look like, and I think it's a rather cool design, something that has not been done in the game yet. So I'm quite excited to be able to see your reactions on that. I can tell you that the way it would work is slightly different from a regular red boss. Long story short, it's a red boss that everyone in the community can attack, and you will get rewards that are unlocked for everyone in the community if we're able to fully defeat the boss collectively. And on top of that, there will be rankings and achievements depending on how much damages you dealt, and that will grant you rewards as well. But what is different with this red boss compared to a regular red boss is that you will have phases. So that means just like, a boss in most of the games, you will have very different phases. Like once you've been eating a third of the health bar of the boss when you are defeating it or fighting it, there will be a second phase and a third phase, and different attacks, different elements being used, different abilities and properties depending on the phase. In a way, it's kind of combining a red boss with the skirmish functionality, if you will. That in the skirmish you would have different waves. Here it won't be necessarily waves because it's still in the same fight, but it's different phases, which should make the fight a bit more challenging on the strategy aspect as well. And yeah, that's roughly what I can tell you at the moment. Once we have more details and once we can share some overview, we will. This global boss, I cannot tell you, Joseph, yet how long it will last. What I can tell you is that what we would probably be looking at is an event-long weekend. Weekend-long event, sorry. Words in the good order, it's better. The main reason is that at the moment, the game does not offer much to do over the weekend, which is also the moment when it's usually easier for clans to organize things, and also the moment when usually on mobile games there's the most events and such running. In this game it's not the case, and it's why we will probably try to have it run around that time. I don't have the final details yet. The last I've heard was that we would be looking at like a 72 hours kind of thing. It would not be something that comes probably every week, at least for the beginning, especially because we will probably need some iterations of it, etc. It's probably something that would come every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks or something like this. On the longer run, maybe it could come every week if it's super popular and super engaging for you, but that's roughly what we're looking at. Just to be clear again, that's the last elements I have. It is possible that by the time it's released, you guys tell me, oh, actually it's not 3 days, but it's 4, or it's not 4 days, but it's 2, or it's not in the weekend, but only ends on a Saturday, or whatever. I don't have the exact details for that yet. What I can tell you, and that's the sneak peek I can give to you, is regarding the design of the boss. I can tell you that its design is made so that it can reflect having different phases with different abilities, different elements linked to it, etc. That's all I can say. From there, you can imagine whatever you want, but that's what I can say. That it's in its design, it's already hinting at those different phases and such. And so yeah, this at the moment it's being worked on quite heavily to be ready early next year. What I would expect, given that the December month is very special for the gaming industry. We can't release pretty much anything between the 15th of December and early January because it's just too risky, given that the stores won't allow us to upload a fix very fast if there was anything happening. It is more than likely that you see that in late January or early February, depending on the last tests. It is also something that I would like to be able to share some sneak previews with you. I do not know exactly how we will do that. One thing that I was thinking of is to basically have it run on the stream, so potentially on a test server that we would use just for that, so that I can show you the UI, I can show you pretty much everything about it. If we do that though, to not spoil the wow effect of an entirely brand new mod, we would probably do it like just the day before or something like this, when it's already there pretty much. So if it's on the weekend, that would mean maybe we would do it on the Thursday, and on the Friday the event starts or something like this, because we don't want people to be spoiled too much of the surprise that it would be. And before that, we will probably tell you more about the mechanism and what's to expect, but that's mostly what I can tell there. So yeah, that's the main things that I know that will come very fast. And then what is coming next, you will get these details in the communication that we want to share with you. And for 2024, hopefully we would like to be able to share these kind of updates more often with you, so kind of follow up on what is happening. Yeah, that would be the goal for us, is to be able to follow up on what is happening with an actual document that we share with you, or a communication. So maybe every month you will get a small visual recap of what has been done, what is worked on, what got postponed or delayed, and why. So that's one thing. The other thing that I can say, because we started a bit again in the few last seasons, and I'm being tagged on a lot of those at the moment, so I know it's being worked on, but there's a lot of look at bugs that have been there for a while, and stuffs that have been requested on the balancing side for a while. For example, I know that a lot of people have issues with the Earth Warden statues. That's something we currently look at. I'm not saying we're going to change the mechanism entirely, but I know, for example, that there were some complaints about the Stormcaller, that it can basically get fully stopped by this, and it keeps on targeting the statues no matter what. That's the kind of things we're working on. It's like, making sure that there's enough counters to that mechanism, that it doesn't become doesn't stay the hassle that it currently is for a lot of players. So yeah, we're looking into that at the moment. Yeah, that is one of the bugs we're working on. What other update I can give you? I can give an update. I didn't see him in the chat so far, so I don't know if he is right now with us or not. But for Matt Remar, we are working on the discrepancies for the leaderboards. Main thing being that because we will bring new rankings with the global red boss, we need this issue to be sorted. But also because we would be sorting it in one place, we will sort it in another place. So it is very likely that at least by the time the global red boss is there, this issue should be fully resolved as well. From what we could see, it's mostly a problem of the two tables not taking values from the same source, and one of those sources being way less relevant than the other. Oh, I'm sorry guys, it's ringing at my door, which means you might hear my dogs going a bit crazy. I'm very sorry about that. It didn't happen in the past. I'm quite surprised that it didn't happen up until now. And so far my dog is not oh yeah, okay, now my dog is starting to go a bit crazy. Okay. So yeah, that I lost the track of what I was saying a little, but yeah, for Matremar, but also for anyone who is interested, these leaderboard discrepancies, we resumed the work on it, and we are quite confident at this point that we should be able to resolve it with, I mean, if we are able to resolve it and see that it's an easy fix, we might even release it before the global red boss is in, if we know that it's something we can do rather easily. But because the number of versions of the game that we can release until the end of the year is going to be very packed with content already, with the new season, etc., it is possible that we need to wait a little, but that should come rather soon at this point. What else can I share with you guys? Trying to think if there's anything else that comes to mind. I think, oh, Mavi is the last fight that we have for this category, so we will be done already in just a few seconds. We will be done with the easy mode. So okay, so let me grant you guys your reward and we can move to the other category. Perfect. So now I can move there. We can go live. Change the account here and we'll be ready to go. I think my dogs will deserve some treats today, because usually when someone rings at my door, it's a festival of barking for 5 to 10 minutes. So I'm quite impressed that they didn't bark or didn't go crazy at all this time around. Okay, so here we are with the hardcore / advanced fights. I'm just checking who will be first today. It's Zizop, NIP, Wolf 230, Unscorched, Evan, Benuzet, Orange Reefer, Boo, Funway, and Said. That's for the first 10 players, and let's just go. Okay, so yeah, what else can I share with you guys? I'm trying to see if there's anything that I'm missing in terms of updates that you guys would want to get right away. One thing I can tell you is that we have prepared a few little things for December for you guys, for the Christmas time. We have tried something a bit different than what we are used to do. Some of you last time asked us if we would go for an advent calendar, etc. As I expected, given the moment when we received this information, it was a bit too late, but we still have quite a few things planned for this period of the year, so you should still be able to have some fun there. Also, at one point I told you that there might be a week without a season, or a season that would get longer because we could not deploy any new content past a certain amount of time. Our teams worked quite heavily so that they were able to get everything done in time, so the next season will start just as it should, and so there won't be any specific delays or anything like that in there. But yeah, that's the main thing I can say there. And so yeah, I'm not sharing too much about what is coming for the holiday seasons, simply because I still want you to be a bit surprised there and get some surprised about what is going to be coming. There are stuffs you can expect, so basically something similar to the event we ran for Halloween or for the anniversary this year. So you should be seeing back some free wagons every X days and these kind of things. That will come for sure. But there will be more coming, especially around the Christmas, and between Christmas and New Year's Eve there will be a bit more coming. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's anything I wanted to bring up that I missed. There's nothing that I can think of right away. I'm trying to see, is there anything I missed? I don't think I missed on anything right away. So yeah, guys, as always, if you have any questions, any feedback or anything, just let me know. Yeah, I took some notes as well. I saw that most people were actually, or seemed quite happy with what we went for the Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We were also quite hyped about the way we presented things there, so I hope that it was interesting for you content-wise. And yeah, that's the kind of things we will be looking at going forward. Yeah, Black Friday was, I mean, it's always an exciting time for everyone, obviously. So now we're mostly focused on, obviously, on the holiday season. And yeah, you know how it is. Our year is pretty much focused with those kind of moments. You know, we know that after that there will be other celebrations to look into. So that's quite interesting. Also, I know that some of you were asking when would we get some more shiny and colorful units and such. As far as I remember, we should be good to go on that direction with the next ones. We should be a lot less dark, and I mean, the last units are already, they're not necessarily dark, they're more like this neon purple-ish kind of design, but I know what it means, what people mean, that it's not the most exciting colors. It's still a bit dark, and after Halloween plus this void season, obviously that's like a lot of dark, and I guess everyone will be happy to go back to being more colorful after that. It's pretty much what happens, because you don't have like a 6 era set that would really rotate in a way that, for example, the void, the one we're currently in, would happen every year for Halloween, for example, which would allow us to kind of shape things more in that direction. It's not exactly the way it works, so we always, or we can end up with those situations where you have this slightly longer gap of darkness in the themes and stuffs we offer. But yeah, that's mostly the things we're looking at the moment. And yeah, I'm quite excited to see how everyone will react to all the stuffs that we plan at this point. Hopefully it will be very well received, and I'm also mostly excited about the global red boss at this point. It's something that I think the game really will benefit from, especially waiting for something like the Clan Wars, having already a real event where clans can really be ranked and where you guys can say, oh, during that event, we were the top team, we earned that title. A bit more than a season, because the season, it's like, of course, you can have an effort from the team, but because the season is pretty much always there all the time, it's more of a permanent leverage of who is permanently at that level, and it's a bit less of a dedication on the short time span, which is what we want to have, because this kind of competition, it's also a bit more dynamic, right? Because if you have something like that, you can already have a team that goes like, oh, you know what? For a few events, we won't do much. We will stack up on our consumables. We will prepare everything. And in 6 of those events, that's the one where we will use up everything we have all together and climb as high as we can in the leaderboards and surprise everyone, because no one expected us to be that high or something like this. And this is easier to do than with seasons, because it's pretty hard to get everyone in your clan to say, oh no, we don't do anything this season, to pile up for the next one. That wouldn't really make sense anyway, because it's not like you use up consumables for your season. So it's a different system, and the red boss in itself, it's very cool, but it's because it's a team event within the team. There's not the same feel as if you have a competition with the outside world. And what I do like as well is that if you're not in a competitive clan, if you're more of a casual player, if you don't want to be spending too much effort into such an event, you can still benefit from it, because if the overall boss is defeated, you get rewards as well, right? So it's like a combination of everything. Of course, it's not going to be a substitute for an actual Clan Wars system. That's still something we work on pretty much, but we know that to have the Clan Wars, it's a bigger scope, it's going to be more complicated. The global red boss, it's pretty much, an iteration on a mechanism that already exists. And that's why it's a lot faster to do. I would admit potentially that the mistake we made a few months back is that we thought, okay, if we put a lot of efforts into the Clan Wars right now, maybe we can have it ready in 3 to 6 months. And as we were progressing, we realized that no matter what we do, it's not going to be less than 6 months to get it done. So it's better to have something happening in the meantime, get people something new, get people something fresh, get them going for a few months, and that kind of leaves us the time to prepare and fine-tune the concept and test properly the Clan Wars, etc. before we release them. So yeah, that's definitely a learning curve, and that's not necessarily a mistake because we couldn't really foresee that, but at least that's something we had to address and do things slightly differently. And I think this new path we're following makes a lot more sense to make sure we are able to deliver something to you, even if that means ultimately the Clan Wars come a tiny bit later than if we focused only on that. It's still better to make sure you have something in between to get people going, get people excited about the game, and also make sure that all the newcomers that we're getting, because we have quite a few newcomers, have a reason to stick around and stay and play the game for a bit longer. Talking about newcomers, actually, you might have seen that we had less new players this month than we had in the previous ones. that's fairly logical. Basically, the reason why we have less new players right now is simply because we had to stop the user acquisition during the login issues at the beginning of the month. And when we restarted, it always takes a bit of time before it bubbles up and brings more people. So hopefully in December, we should be back to having more people. But yeah, that was definitely something we had to pay attention to and work on. Okay, so we have 15 players down. So that leaves us about 35 to go. Okay, is there anything you guys would like to discuss? Any question, anything? It's extremely silent for me right now. I'm used to having always the sound and the music of the game to some extent, so that's a bit weird, that's a bit awkward. But yeah, as always, if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you have suggestions, ideas, just let us know. Actually, here's something that is interesting to discuss. There was a crazy discussion happening on Discord a few days back at this point, or maybe even last week, where players discussed the idea of having the artifacts to reset with each era. Crazy idea on paper. It's a bit insane. But I wanted to know how you guys feel about that, because when I first read that, I thought, okay, people are going to be totally against that idea, and the player that suggested that is going to get bashed. But actually, I was surprised by the number of players that were potentially supporting the idea, including players that have maxed out artifacts. And I kind of see why, because on one side, that means with each era beginning, you would level the playing field for the players. So that could be interesting for players. It also means if you were to do something like this, with each era, you could have specific sets of artifacts that would happen. So that could be quite interesting. A bit like the set of Power Stone is different for each era and for each season. You could have something like this with the artifacts. And also, that would mean we could make the top levels of artifacts way easier to get along the way of this era, obviously, than you would to get your level 5 artifacts in the regular game. Obviously, the downside to such a system is what I initially thought, which is players that have been grinding a lot of time or spending real money to get those level 5 artifacts would probably be super pissed about receiving that treatment. So I don't know how players would feel about that. My feeling is that it's a very interesting concept, but I feel like if we were to go that way, we would need to find a way so that the players that were pretty much, the way I see it is that we would need, first of all, a system a bit similar to the Power Stone, where at the end of the era you get something back for the artifacts that you had. And we would need as well to make sure that we would give something very great to the players, depending on how far they were back until the moment the reset would happen the first time. Let's say we decide, in 2 weeks we change that. That would mean we will need to give to everyone that has artifacts level 5 a certain amount of either gold or gems or whatever to make up for it. And my fear is that basically the amount we would need to give out for players to feel like, okay, they're not disrespected by this decision, might be so high that it would be too much, because it would mean, for example, that maybe we would need as a company 5, 6, 7, 10 eras before players have used up the advantage that they had. And that could mean, if we're talking 10 eras, we're talking, more than a year and a half, and that would be so far away that it could be very detrimental for us. So, really, just to be clear, we're not necessarily thinking about doing that. I was just wondering how people feel about that. I don't see much reactions in the chat, so that might be something I will bring back again on Discord. But the main reason why I'm interested in this is that it's not at all what we've been looking at so far for reworking the artifacts. But if that's a direction a lot of players would like us to go, and if the players that have the level 5 artifacts want us to consider that and, just discuss, okay, here's how it could look, what we could do, and you tell us if that is interesting for you, then we would not be against the idea, obviously. But ultimately, that's something the community would have to back up, because we would not do a change like this if that's not something everyone wants. Ribs, you were asking how come we are fighting the same army again. Simply because, sadly, I did not have enough time this time around to change it. I will try to change it for the next stream, but I don't change it with every single stream. Usually I try to change at least a few elements, and it's true this time around I truly didn't have enough time to alter it. Next time it will be slightly different, I promise. Also, since we're on that topic, it is likely that we will have another stream, obviously, in December. But then the one after that will probably happen directly in January, simply because I will be off and spending a bit of time with my family. I will obviously still be around. There will always be someone checking up on what is happening on the community. I will be there, to announce the patch notes for the era launch and all those stuffs. But I probably won't have the bandwidth to set up an entire stream. If for whatever reason I see that I would, because I will be around that time, we can still have it. But yeah, the likeliness that it is going to be postponed to start early January, it's more than likely we'll go this way. We'll re-talk about that. Probably we'll have a survey on Discord and see what you would prefer, guys. But yeah, that's mostly so that you guys are aware that this is probably something that would need to happen. Yeah, we're halfway done already with this category. Okay. Zai Shibron, you're there just for a few seconds. Yeah, I saw your message quite a few minutes ago, so probably you're not there anymore. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the few moments you spent on the stream. And yeah, if you have the opportunity to come back, make sure to cut there. Mr. Undercover Anonymous, you probably... Okay, Zai Shibon, you are still there. Okay, then enjoy, and we'll see you later or during the next stream. Mr. Undercover Anonymous, you are wondering about your signing up. It is very likely that you're just part of the next, of the other batch, which will be in the recorded fight night that takes place tomorrow. There's I mean, you can already see on YouTube the list of players. So if you're not in there, and if you were in the advanced category, like hardcore mode, it is very likely you would be on tomorrow's fight night. There's a message about that on Discord and at the bottom as well of the description on YouTube. So you should be able to see the details of when it's going to be happening. It will be tomorrow I mean, it's 4 p.m. my time. I don't know what time it will be for you. But if you check it on Discord, it will display directly your local time, so you don't have to even think about this conversion. Onur, you're asking us if we will have any new maps to the journey added soon. Yes, this is planned. The main thing is that we have decided not to go the way we've gone the last time of adding just 10 journey levels, because it ended up being just more frustrating to you guys than anything. So most likely the next time we'll add a bigger batch. And now that we are back on track with all the content creation, we should be able to get those going more often, because there we had some in the summer and none since, which doesn't make sense. So next year you should be seeing more of those. And ideally on the longer run, there's a point at which we would like for those to be added pretty much with each new era. There would be some levels added. If we end up adding some with each new era, then probably it would be just 10 or 20 levels. Up until we're able to do that, we might add them less often, but by bigger batch. So maybe 30 levels at once or something like that. Mr. Undercover Anonymous, I cannot check right now your name, because the problem is on my side, I don't see your name. I see just I just see the player tag. So I know what player tag is planned for tomorrow. If you wish, you can just send me a message on Discord with your player tag, and I will be able to check it right after the stream and tell you if you're planned for tomorrow. Otherwise, we can look at why you were not in there. But as I said, the first thing is to make sure you were registered for the advanced/hardcore mode. If you were for the easy one/regular one, you should have been in the list already, because everyone was directly in today's stream, so there shouldn't be any player left out from that for the easy mode. And you're very welcome, Onur. I hope that I pronounced your name correctly, because I have a Turkish friend named Onur, and that's how it's pronounced over there. So I don't know where you come from and if it's the origin of your name as well. So that's why I went for this pronunciation. If that's not the way you pronounce it, I'm very sorry about that. Okay, guys. Let me see. Oh, wait, actually, I can check it there. Just keeping an eye on how far we are. We still have roughly 20 people to go. A bit less than that, 18, I think. Yeah. Anything else that I can answer to? Any other question? Any comment? Anything? Because otherwise I will have to start talking about anything, really, because there's not so much that I didn't discuss today. I'm trying to see if there's any other update I can share. Oh yes, there's one. Samsung players. I know that we have some Samsung players that still are facing random crashes. It's not as exaggerated as the crashes that many people faced on Android early in November. Here, the players we're talking about, they're facing crashes that won't happen all the time, but they still happen quite a lot, quite frequently. The update I can give to that is we know that it's not exactly device specific, it's not OS specific. We know that it's pretty much only on Samsung devices, but only on some Samsung devices and some accounts. The good news is when we set up a high-end game account on the live environment on some of the devices that were reported to us, we are able now to reproduce the issue. The problem is that the issue does not show up at all on any of the test environment, which makes it a bit harder to pinpoint what is causing it. But the team is still into this. We have implemented more logs that should be helping us. The problem is that the game is not technically crashing. Technically, it's what we call a freeze, because the game does not crash and reboot. The game just freezes and you have to manually force close it and restart it. And that is not tracked the same way as a crash. And while we have a lot of tools installed for crashes, we don't have that many tools in the game for freezes. And that's one of the things we've implemented lately. So hopefully that should help us identify and fix this issue once and for all. You were asking about the void-bound physician. I think it's a physician or physicist. Doesn't matter. That seems to be broken. I'm still trying to get the full details of how it works, because basically with new units, what often happens is there's a problem between three different things, right? There's what the unit actually does, what the game says that the unit should do, and what, as a player, we understand that the unit should do. And lately, what I've spotted is that there's often issues because players see the unit do something, but they read the description as something completely different, so they don't understand what's going on. And usually that's because our description of what it does is not as instinctive or not understood the way we understand it when we read it. So that's what I'm trying to check at the moment, to know if it's really broken or if it's just that the explanation does not fit precisely, or is not clear enough, or is confusing and leading players to believe it is broken. That's pretty much where we stand right now. But yes, it is being looked at. Let me see. Also, you say it doesn't do anything. I'm not so sure about that, because it shoots at corpses. That's different. See, it's not doing anything, because then if it shoots at corpses, then it probably is that there's a problem with the targeting of the unit, but it doesn't mean it doesn't do anything. So if that's the case, then that's the part we need to get checked. In any case, it's being checked right now. But if you're telling me that it shoots at corpses, then that gives me already some more elements to hint at the testing team to look at that in particular. Because one thing I spotted as well is that the tests that we do, they're mostly on the technical side of, is it working? And meaning, is there no bug? Is there no dead end situation? Is there no conflicts and nothing that prevents the unit from being imported in the game, etc., etc. For the strict, for the what I would call the elevated gameplay, so not just knowing is it working in basic situations, but how does it work if it's surrounded by corpses, for example. I feel like we are still not quite there yet in evaluating the scenarios that our educated players will face right away, because they know exactly how our players play the game a bit more than we do. That's an expertise that we don't always have, so that's something we need to get better at. And I think it's especially true with units like this one that are a bit more complex, that's a discussion we were having on Discord as well, that pretty much that's one thing you guys brought up, that maybe we are making too complex units lately, and I agree that I think that's where we see the most problems. It's when we go for something that ends up being just too complicated to make sure it works exactly as it should. So that's definitely something we need to get better at, indeed. Okay, I think we have about 10 players left, so I still have some time if you have any other questions. Yeah, we have pretty much precisely 10 players left. Ah, my tea got cold by now. It's the bottom of the cup, and yeah, that's not nice, not great. Okay, let's see if there's anything else I didn't bring up, didn't mention, or didn't update you on. I'm trying to see. Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up as well. I will try this for the holiday season. I initially wanted to try it for Halloween. The problem was that I knew whatever the outcome, it would be pretty much a year in the making, which would be a shame. I will have a creative contest going on Discord somewhere in December, mainly aiming at you guys coming up with concepts for units, or for, I mean, we will start with units, but potentially on the longer run, we could do the same for power stones, etc. It will be a contest where it's not about how good of an artist you are or how good you can draw, but what the unit would actually be, what would be his abilities and what it would do. And the idea is, if, I mean, there will be rewards for the contests and the best entries, etc. But if for whatever reason some of the entries are good enough that the team wants to implement some of them, the team is not against this idea at all. So we would be willing to implement some of those concepts. And the reason why I said for Halloween it would take 1 year in the making is for the reason I mentioned earlier, that if we were to do that around Halloween, most people would go for a rather dark theme unit, and that means if it's dark and such, it would probably not be something we can release in the next 3-4 eras, but after that, or for next Halloween, and that is way too far away. You know, my feeling would be, if we are able to bring any unit concepts from players into the game, that should be for something like in 2 eras or something like that. So yeah, we will run a contest like this. I cannot guarantee yet that any of those units would make it to the game, because, well, first of all, I need to know what level or what quality level you guys will reach. But if you're able to come up with really good designs or really good ideas, then we'll be very happy to bring it to the game. Also, it's important to note that in such cases, it will never be a duplicate of your ID, right? We will always need to adapt it a little, either on the design side most of the time, but also even on the abilities, we might need to restrict it, because from the technical standpoint, there are stuffs we cannot do, or we'll need to nerf it or boost it, etc. But you would be able to see potentially your units, your design, your ID into the game. And that means I can finally have an orca, a walking orca unit into the game, or killing whale, or however you you call it in your language, since we were talking about that at one point in another stream. But no, joking, of course, because I will not be participating myself. Or I mean, if I participate myself, that will be just for the fun of sharing my own ID, but obviously I'm not going to be a winner in that. And we are not going to be implementing my ID. But yeah, if you have some great ideas, we would love to do that. And so it will be a test. If we see that there's some interest and you guys are really into that, it could be something we do regularly. If it's very not popular, it will be a bit different. I know that there was something kind of along those lines that was done at one point. So you guys will know better, but I know there was a contest that started and never was ended. So that's a way we will go back to that, that kind of things as well, thanks to this. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to share with you guys today. We are almost done at this point. I think we have just like 4 players to go, 5, yes. So yeah, it's been a great stream overall. I feel like the duration of the stream is better. Now, obviously, the main problem is that I need to get you guys more engaged and discussing more. So next time we'll restart promoting the stream in game, etc. That's something I didn't do for a while, pretty much since I started, and definitely something I missed on. So I will make sure that we promote this a bit further into the game, especially so that we have newcomers joining us. So yeah, we'll do that with the next stream, and we'll see how much more of you are joining and how much more are registering as well. That will be probably quite interesting to see. And yeah, I think I covered most of the topics that I had in mind. I don't see many others. Since we're on the topic of contests, would you have any ideas for a contest or anything like this? Just let me know. I'm always down for these kind of things, especially when it is engaging for you. I like when a contest is not just, hey, drop a message and get rewards. I like when we are rewarding people that go the extra mile and put a bit more effort into doing something nice. I think for the community in itself, it's very valuable. And yeah, if you have any idea of such things, just let me know, and we'll definitely try to implement something if you have any concepts or any ideas for that. Okay, so 3 players to go. If you have any final question, that will be your time, guys, because we will just probably have, I would say, what, 3 minutes left, 2 minutes left, probably, before it's all over, and before you have to wait 2 weeks before I would answer your question in a live stream. Obviously, I will still be around on Discord and answering to you there, but if you want to have an answer on the live stream, that will be the moment. Also, for those of you that are seeing me for the first time without the headset, you realize that when I put my head like this, yeah, I'm old or bald, depending on how you're looking at it, but that's the way it goes, you know. Look at this last unit running away from its fate. That's the kind of situations that always make me laugh in Battle Legion, when you have one unit that runs through the other corner, like, you won't get me, I will still make it, I will still survive. I kind of enjoy these situations, especially in a support unit like this that won't do anything else anyway than running away once it's alone on the battlefield. Okay, I think this is gonna be a rather quick fight as well, and then we will just have the last fight for the night. Let's see if I can end on a few victories and get this winning ratio a bit up. Maybe this one won't be such an easy fight. Ah, those respawning units. Don't worry, guys. I understand why it's frustrating and annoying for you guys as well. And there we go. Okay, so now it's time for our final battle of the day. Let's see how it will go. So yeah, in the meantime, I can already thank every single one of you for joining this stream. There's only 2 of you left watching at this point. That's also what happens when you post very early on the list of people and when they are going to fight. But in any case, it's been a pleasure as always. I hope that it was entertaining and that it gave you some more information. I will be closing the event now so that you guys can all get your rewards. What the hell? Ah, okay, now it works. Okay, so everyone should have received their rewards now, and for now, I will be basically wishing you a great evening. Oh, wait, are the dads from India? Some of them, yes. Not all of them, but some of them, yes. I don't know if there's much I can say on that topic, but yeah, we have part of our team coming from India indeed. Okay, on that last note, that will basically be it for today. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you for the few people that rejoined at the very end. That's very nice of you. I wish you a super great evening and see you in 2 weeks. Bye.